Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in this evening's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar. Then we'll have a look at the GFS, the GEM, the ECMWF, the ECMWF Ensembles, the GFS Ensembles, and we'll finish up with the UKMO Office Run as well. Now the cold spell we've had over the last few days is coming to an end. Started with Storm Arwen, and we've had some very cold days over the course of the weekend with snow for quite a few, but we are now going to have another day or two of milder conditions before it does turn cold again come Thursday. Beyond that, though, we're having a lot of uncertainty within the models as we are trying to build a Scandinavian High, especially in around 10 days' time. However, it's going to be a battleground scenario between cold, dense air to our east and moist Atlantic air to our west, and we're going to see what the models are going for today. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure to like and subscribe, and remember to follow on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. We had very cold conditions last night, especially across the south with widespread frost, but you can see at the moment we do have light patchy rain pushing into the north with much milder Atlantic air. Now it's only going to be a temporary mild sector before we do see colder air once again by Thursday, but it is going to turn everywhere mild. Now we are seeing a bit of patchy mixing, maybe a bit of snow or sleet within some of these light showers, but it won't come to anything really. These showers will move southwards and eastwards with much milder air, and all areas will be much milder this evening, probably getting up to maybe 8, 9, 10 degrees quite widely by tomorrow. But at the moment, still in the south, it is quite chilly, only a couple degrees above freezing, but those will be on the rise as we head through this evening. If we now have a look at the GFS, have a look at what's going to be happening in the longer term, you can see at the moment we have those sort of westerly winds trying to push in with much milder air. But we've got the dense cold air over Europe, which is trying to hold on, but you can see it does sort of move away over the next few hours. We do have a milder sector through Wednesday, but by Wednesday afternoon into evening, we have much colder air plunging in from the north, another brutally cold northerly wind. And it's established by Thursday. Thursday's going to be a really quite cold day, maybe only 2-3 degrees quite widely. Snow showers potentially across the northern and eastern coasts. I'll have a look at snow potential in a bit more detail with the UKMO Office Run at the end. However, it is only short-lived and we go westerly. Once again, milder and colder sectors coming in, so there's potential for maybe some more snow here and there. Not sustained cold spell, but potential for more snow as we do have colder air and Atlantic weather systems trying to push in. Beyond that, though, you do see that ridge of high pressure building up towards Scandinavia, and we're seeing this battle between easterly winds in Europe and mild westerly winds. And if we have a look at the upper air temperatures, really quite cold air across our east and colder air in the Atlantic, but mild moister sectors within it. And you can see within this battleground scenario, we actually could potentially have a few snow events mixed in there with colder air in from the east and the north, mixing in with the milder Atlantic air coming in from the south and the west. Beyond that, though, you see that cold air to the east never quite pushes in, and we stay westerly generally. But you can see that high pressure just to our east is very close to getting us into a proper east. And as I said, it is this battleground scenario. Which one will win out? And of course, if we do see a stationary front with cold air in the east pushing in against milder Atlantic air, we could see quite a big snow event if that boundary is over the United Kingdom. Again, it would be quite unlikely and uncertain it would exactly come up like that, but that is potentially a scenario. But you can see right towards the end of the run, still got this big high pressure towards Scandinavia, but big low pressure out in the Atlantic, and it finally sort of looks like the Atlantic will kind of win out in the end, but not majorly, because that cold air is still there just to our east, and we are still pretty chilly. It's not an Atlantic onslaught by any means, because it's blocked and slow moving. We are staying in that quite cold air, as we don't have these lows spinning up very, very quickly. So very interesting from the GFS, still showing that Scandinavian high, not quite as cold as we were seeing in yesterday's run, but as we'll see in a minute with the GM, the ECMWF, we have got various other scenarios that are coming off with this Scandinavian high. Now, if we have a look at the GEM, see how that's compared again, you can see Atlantic air moving in at the moment before we see another cold plunge by the end of this week. Beyond that, we do try to build the Scandinavian high. Doesn't really come off at all on this GEM run, and we actually go more mild and westerly. But we are seeing more ridging with that low tropospheric polar vortex shifted a bit further eastwards, meaning we're more likely to see more northerly winds. Now, it's not brutally cold by any means, but we could be seeing another northerly plunge there by the end of this GEM run. So Scandinavian High never really getting established on this GEM run, which is very interesting indeed, as GFS has it. It's in about 6-7 days' time that Scandinavian High is starting to build. So still a lot of uncertainty, and I do suspect it will start to get resolved very quickly over the next day or two in terms of whether we actually do see the Scandinavian High build, and then it will just be whether it wins out against the low pressure in the Atlantic. Now, if we have a look at the ECMWF, which wasn't really going for the Scandinavian High yesterday or the day before, but as we'll see in this run, it is showing some real blocking within it. So you can see we go to the northerly wind by the end of this week, really quite cold with sort of north to northeasterly winds. Could be seeing snow showers with that, of course, and widespread colder conditions. We could be seeing like a temporary snow event potentially with milder air pushing up against colder air by Friday. And then we see something really interesting, a big block starting to appear towards Scandinavia and Greenland. Now, it doesn't get going massively in terms of we're not pulling in brutally cold easterly wind, but we have cold air to our east. These Atlantic systems are getting shifted southwards. You can see, if we have a look at the pressure charts, this big block with the jet stream shifted really quite far southwards into Spain and Portugal. So this would be poised to send us really quite cold if we did get a ridge starting to build in the middle of the Atlantic. So the ECMWF going really quite cold and blocked. Now, you can see the upper res, it's not cold all the time. It is showing Atlantic systems moving in, but the general pattern is quite blocked and would inevitably go cold. So very interesting from the ECMWF, showing that Scandinavian High actually being really quite influential, and the tropospheric polar vortex, which the GFS was showing, battling it up against it, not quite as strong with the jet stream shifted much further southwards. So one thing I can say is we're not seeing anything too zonal at this stage. There is a lot going on. It doesn't look like over the next few weeks we're going to be seeing what we've seen over similar, what we've seen over the last few years with a lot of Atlantic onslaughts, very little cold potential. There definitely does look like there is some potential around over the next few weeks. Given we just come off a cold spell, we've got another northerly wind coming this week. Definitely does look like the atmosphere is poised to give us colder chances, colder plunges, and you can even rule out a properly cold spell at some point over the next few weeks. Now, if we do have a look at the ECMWF Ensembles, these are very good at showing what the general pattern is showing. It's showing what sort of scenarios there are in the longer term. The anomaly, it's an anomaly chart, so you can see the reds are higher pressure, the blues and purples are lower pressure. You can see at the moment, high pressure in the Atlantic sort of that has been ridging towards Greenland, now flattening and going into westerly winds. You can see over the next few days, we're going to see another northerly wind move in. And as we head out to a week out, you can see quite a mixed signal. High pressure towards Greenland and Scandinavia on most of the runs. 8 are going for really quite cold easterly winds. 17 are going for low pressure mixed in it. Would be colder to the north, but not really showing anything too significant. Another 15 of blocking to our north, jet stream shifted a bit further southwards, and another 11 have a similar pattern, but with that blocking a bit stronger with the jet stream shifted southwards. So none are going really mild southwesterly winds. All of them have a bit of blocking in play, but again, exact strength and positioning determines how cold it will be and where those low or mild or low pressure systems are moving. If we go all the way up to day 10, you can see 29.4%, so 15 have big low pressure across the UK, jet stream shifted southwards, blocking to our north. That wouldn't be amazingly cold, but it would be pretty chilly, and especially in the north, if we did start to wrap in some cold air, we could see some marginal snow events. Another 15 of high pressure once again towards Scandinavia and Greenland, low pressure over the top of the UK and to our south, and that would be bringing in a bit of an easterly wind. That will depend on exactly how cold the air is just to our east in exact direction, but that would be reasonably chilly. Another 10 have high pressure up towards Scandinavia and Greenland. Again, putting in a bit of an easterly wind, but we can see there is low pressure in the middle of the Atlantic. So it is trying to push in and not allow this easterly. We have another 7 with a proper Scandinavian high, trying to pull in easterly winds, but you see the tropospheric polar vortex over Greenland is pretty strong and trying to flatten it. This is similar to what we saw in the GFS with big westerly winds up against Scandinavian High, and another 4 just with flat westies, with Scandinavian High really not coming off at all. So interesting seeing what's happening with that. If we go out to 300 hours, you can see again similar pattern. We got 15 with high pressure towards Greenland and Scandinavia, slack easterly winds, or at least an easterly flow. Got another 11 with the Atlantic in a bit more of control. That Scandinavian High not in too much control, with more south to westerly winds. And you can see another 10 have something similar to the GFS, with big ridge of high pressure towards Scandinavia trying to pull in easterly winds, but again westerly winds trying to push in from the Atlantic. Another 8 have a massive block across the middle of the Atlantic spreading up towards Scandinavia, with cold easterly winds, and another 7 have just flat westerlies. Now if we go right towards the end of the run, you can see there isn't too much of a signal. We're seeing drastically different runs, of course, which you'd expect right to the end of an ensemble run. You've got 15 in control run with flat westerlies, but shifted a bit further southward, so a little bit chillier, with the potential for some cold air mixing in there with a bit of blocking. We've got another 11 with a similar pattern, but that lobe of low pressure is sitting out in the Atlantic, so more of a southwesterly wind. We've got another 10 with just high pressure over top of the UK. That would be mild westerly winds with big low pressure towards Greenland. We've got another 8 with blocking towards Scandinavia. That would be bringing in pretty chilly easterly winds, I must say. And another 7 with just flat westerlies, zonal pattern. So yeah, it's looking very interesting. We are definitely seeing this signal for blocking towards Greenland and Scandinavia. Whether it's going to produce bitterly cold temperatures and snow, or whether it's going to be sort of a battleground scenario, or whether it doesn't really win out at all, is still yet to be determined. You can see by these ensembles there are various scenarios that play even at day 7, so we'll just have to keep an eye really what happens with the models. But at this stage, as I said, it is looking encouraging if you are wanting some snow. It definitely does look like this year is looking a lot more wintry, especially earlier on, or at least having a lot more wintry potential than we've had over the last 5 years, I'd say, really. 2017 was decent in December, of course, had Beast from the East in 2018, but not really any other years had this potential, or had snow at the end of November like this in the last few years. So yeah, very interesting to see what's going on with the atmosphere at this stage. But of course, as we said in the look aheads in October, this is kind of what we had expected with ECMWF. La Nina is an early or a cold early winter. So playing out as we expected at this stage, but remember, we are not even into winter yet. We're still in November, so there's still a lot to be played for. If we have a look at the GFS Ensembles, if we have a look at the 850 HPA precipitation, or temperature and precipitation, you can see at the moment quite chilly, but that milder sector is moving in very quickly. Beyond that, we do see it drop once again, very cold, down to -5, -6, -7 degrees at 850 HPA, and then over the next few days, towards the 5th, 6th of December, slowly rising, but hovering a good few degrees below average, so still reasonably chilly. Beyond that, though, is where big uncertainty comes in. We've got some staying quite cold, and those would have more sort of a northerly or easterly flow, others going a bit milder. And in the longer term, generally are around or a couple of degrees below average. A lot of scatter in the longer term, so we can't really make any good assertions out from maybe 5th or 6th of December at this stage. There is so much uncertainty. There's no real massive signal, just generally temperatures are a degree or two below average. So yeah, we'll have to keep an eye really what happens with that. If we have a look at Glasgow further northwards, you can see again mild at the moment as that milder air is infiltrated more quickly. And then we see big temperature drop off to around -7, -8 degrees at 850 HPA, and staying reasonably cold until again the 5th of 6th of December. And then we see the uncertainty come in. Some going much milder with warm air pushing in from the Atlantic. We've got others staying cold around -5. At this stage, as you can see, probably the favoured scenario is that mild sector pushing in. But of course, that mild sector is ahead of that high pressure that's trying to build up towards Scandinavia. So that could mean that Scandinavian High building on those ensembles and those runs a bit more than on the colder runs. In the longer term, though, generally temperatures are similar to London, around or just a touch below average. A lot of uncertainty in play. We can't take too many assertions from that. You can see, though, a lot of precipitation around. So with that Scandinavian High building, it definitely doesn't look like it's going to be one of these scenarios where it tries to build towards Scandinavia and doesn't make it and just sits over the UK. It's either going to make it to Scandinavia and probably be established, or it won't. It's not going to be some of these intermittent patterns where it tries to get towards Scandinavia but just sits over the UK. As you can see, with a lot of precipitation around, not many of these ensemble members are looking amazingly dry through the first few weeks of December. If we finally do have a look at Oslo, which I haven't looked at before, but as we're into winter and the possibility of a Scandinavian high, it's always important to look up towards our east and our northeast, towards, of course, Scandinavia, where the air would be originating from if we had a Scandinavian high. You can see that, in fact, Scandinavia is much colder than average at the moment. Temperatures down to -10, -15 degrees at 850 HPA. A good 5, 6, 7, 8 degrees below average, and that's going to stay like that for the foreseeable future. And you can see some of the milder runs around 7th to 9th of December going to around average or a touch above average will be those trying to build in a big Scandinavian high, because of course milder are heading towards Scandinavia, building up that higher pressure. So yeah, we have to keep an eye, of course. What's happening to our north and our east is important, because it does mean whenever we do pull in a northerly or easterly wind, it is that bit colder. Of course, last season we did actually have an easterly wind at one point, but it wasn't cold enough coming from southeast Europe with higher dew points, because Europe was generally quite mild. However, if we did see it this year, I'm more inclined to say it is going to be colder, simply because the upper air temperatures to our east and northeast are that much colder. So we'll have to keep an eye really what happens with the Scandinavian high over the next few weeks, but it certainly is looking like there is some potential with it within the models. Now, if we finally finish up having a look at the UK massive and have a look at precipitation and temperature, you can see at the moment we've got weather fronts pushing in from the north and the east, the north and the west. Quite patchy rain moving in for all at this stage, not looking massively amazing. And then by Tuesday, a big massive heavy rain pushes in from the west, especially for Northern Ireland and Scotland, and even for like Wales and England as well, seeing heavier rain move in for a time. Beyond that, through Wednesday, we go showery, but colder air is pushing in from the north, so potentially turning to snow over Scotland, and maybe some snow further southwards as well, but again, unlikely. And then through Thursday, heavy snow showers in the north, maybe a few snow showers in the east, parts of Wales as well. Need to watch the potential for a little feature potentially developing there, and generally a few snow showers here or there. Before we see heavy rain push in by Friday, and as I said, it could be an intermittent sort of snow event with some snow on its leading edge before much milder air does dig in from the west. And once again, potentially another snow event by Saturday for the north. That's sort of the thing that comes with this when we have much colder air to our north. So yeah, very interesting to see what happens over the next few weeks. It does look like there will be some potential for snow over the next week or so. Not massively widespread, but still the potential. You can see this morning, though, temperatures were around -3, -4 degrees quite widely down the spine of England, and elsewhere -1, -2, so very cold nights. Today, temperatures got up to around 2-3 degrees in the south, a bit milder further north and westwards, and for Ireland and Northern Ireland, around 9-10 degrees. Overnight tonight, temperatures really won't drop too cold at all. They'll actually be on the up overnight. 7-8 degrees, maybe a bit colder in Scotland, but that's not too unusual. By Tuesday afternoon, widely 10-11 degrees across England and Wales. Further north, 8 or 9 across Ireland, 9 or 10 as well. So quite a mild day compared to what we've had recently. And then as we head through Tuesday evening into first day of December, you can see generally things waking up chilly in the morning, maybe 5-6 degrees, much colder across Scotland, but nothing too crazy. Early hours of Thursday, though, 2nd of December, you can see a much colder night as we have that very cold air sinking through the UK. And once again, by Thursday evening to Friday, another frost as well. And Friday, another chilly day, 2 or 3 degrees, before milder air does push in from the Atlantic. So it's looking like we're going to be a bit of an up and down week, starting quite mild through this evening into Tuesday and Wednesday, before turning much colder for Thursday and Friday, before it does look like it will turn temporarily milder once again for the weekend. But beyond that, when we have the potential for Scandinavian high and the block to develop to our north and the east, it all comes a lot more uncertain, as we really have to keep an eye really what happens with that, as there could be massive sort of temperature contrast with milder air in from the Atlantic or much colder air in from the east. So anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.